On the baseball diamond, the Quincy Gems began their championship quest tonight against the Chillicothe Paints. Offense was on full display in the first game of the Prospect League Championship Series. The Paints would tack on a couple runs early in this one, but the Gems would recover with some nice pitching. Quincy would jump out to a big lead, but the Paints would come roaring back. This shootout battle is still going on. At last report, the Gems were in the driver's seat, leading 17-12 in the 7th inning. Yeah, you heard that score right. Wow, 17-12. We have more sports coverage on the way. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.